What is up, YouTube? Thank you guys for tuning in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whenever you're watching. And if you're watching from the distant future, can you stop asking me stupid questions? Can you oh my God, just stop asking me stupid questions. Just don't. If you are new to the channel, my name is Shane Isley. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for weekly videos and click that like button and comment your thoughts down below. I really want you guys to be a bit more interactive. Share your thoughts below so that we can all have like this nice, neat community. We can create our own little movement right here, right in this small channel. Anyways, 2 weeks ago I made a video about Nikita Dragon and I was like, okay, awesome, I'm on schedule, I'm making videos every week. Then I blinked and I'm here today. I just blinked and I'm like, where did the time go? It was like an entire week that passed and I didn't even realize it. So here I am today making a video. I wanted to make a video about another topic that I would not mention just yet, but because of this whole Jeffree Star situation, I decided to strike while the iron is hot, if you know what I mean. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking a bit about Jeffree Star and the situation that has been going on. For those of you who haven't been updated for some reason or the other, um, this is pretty much what happened. So Jeffree Star, a couple of years back in 2010, he was working with some guy. I cannot remember the guy. I cannot remember the guy's name for the life of me. I always forget his name because really it's not that important. We're not going to be talking about that much anyways. But anyways, the point is Jeffree Star was touring with this guy. And this guy was an alleged offender. He would have inappropriate things being done with minors allegedly. And I'm sorry, you're probably hearing those birds outside, right? I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so Jeffree Star was on tour with this guy, and this guy was an alleged, you want to say maybe a pedophile, but he has been apparently or reported to have been doing things with underage persons, sexual things with underage persons. And Jeffree Star knew about this. He tweeted this, but then subsequently after, he retracted his tweet and was on tour with the guy again. Now that's where pretty much everything that is happening today sort of spiraled from, because he was labeled as a predator. And as you know, I think it was last year, when the whole Tati Westbrook, Jeffree Star and James Charles situation happened, Jeffree labeled James Charles as a predator. And so because of this whole situation that he had in 2010, persons did, or he himself even made some level of parallels with the situation there. So the point is, really what I'm trying to say is that because of that situation, a bunch of things are happening now. And we even have some more updates on the Jeffree Star, James Charles, Tati Westbrook situation. Even though a lot of persons really wanted it to die, and even though Jeffree Star is saying that he wanted it to die, it doesn't seem like that's the case because it has now resurfaced. So in today's video, we're going to talk about that pretty much. There are a couple of things I want to specifically talk about. First of all, we're going to touch on Jeffree Star's hypocrisy, and there are a lot of controversial things that were, or conflicting, I would say, things that were happening in his interviews, things that he said, and he kind of said something else that directly conflicts with it. And then we're going to talk about, of course, the whole Tati Westbrook situation. Again, I'm kind of somewhat agitated about what he's been doing recently, because it's like James Charles was the one who really felt the blunt of everything that happened. And he is the one that's trying to put everything at peace or rest. And they're just like regurgitating everything. And so it's kind of sad sometimes to see when someone is really trying to succeed and you're just kind of, they're hating on them, or not hating, or doing things that shady type of thing, you know. So typically I like to give people a different perspective on matters, something else to think about, maybe something that we missed. In this case, I wholeheartedly agree with the current judgment on Jeffree Star, because I feel like, I mean, Jeffree, if you're watching, buddy, if you're watching, come closer. You're coming across very disingenuous. Like, I'm not trying to hate on Jeffree Star. I'm just looking at the characteristics that he's been portraying recently in this particular situation here. And if I'm being quite honest, it's coming across very disingenuous and also manipulative to some extent. And here is why I think so. So this is first of all talking about what happened with this guy 10 years ago. Here is the reality of the situation. 10 years ago, Jeffree Star allegedly was a different person than he is today, right? He the way he did things, his racism, the way he was very bitchy towards people, and he was a horrible person overall. He even said it himself that he has been a very, very horrible person in 2010, right? Let's first of all highlight that. All right, good. Let's put that aside. Now let's look at this as well. If you're in a classroom, right, and you saw one of your peers do something wrong, you're not gonna immediately tell. Let's say in college, for example, because in classroom you're a bit young, in college you're a bit older. In college you see someone do something wrong, right? You're not gonna immediately go tell the professor. You're gonna just mind your business and move on with your life. I want to say, first of all, I don't think what he did was right. I think it was completely wrong. And as I said before, I think this is one of those cases where I completely agree with society. I think that he didn't do what he was supposed to do back then, and it was a horrible thing. So moving on, if you're in a classroom and you see somebody do something wrong, you wouldn't immediately go think of, let me go tell the teacher, right? And now let's go back to Jeffree being a bad person back then, allegedly. So he was a bad person back then. He's simply not gonna go tell, because it's not his business. That's the way he probably saw it. It is not his business. He's just there to get his money, do what he wants, enjoy himself. If that guy wants to go do that, that's his problem. Let him deal with it. He didn't really care about that sort of thing back then. It's evident in the two podcasts that he's been on recently that based on what he's saying, he didn't really care. I think that Jeffree and the guy, something happened between the two of them. Jeffree always knew of what was going on behind the scenes, or always suspected of what was going on behind the scenes, but he didn't really care because it wasn't interesting to him anyways. And maybe something happened between the two of them, and that's what prompted Jeffree to start posting the tweets. And maybe what he said is correct. He probably did his research afterwards and then retracted the tweets, right? Jeffree just didn't think it was any of his business. He just didn't really care about posting it. And if you notice in the interview, he also says that back then it didn't seem inappropriate to him. And remember, we're looking at it through Jeffree Star's eyes in 2010, and we know the type of person he was. He didn't say anything wrong then, but if you look at it now, it's wrong, right? But then he also tweeted those tweets. So he was very aware, but he just didn't care. The thing is, Jeffree just needs to own up to his shortcomings. That's really what he needs to do. Just own up to his shortcomings and say, look, I didn't report it. I should have, and I didn't. And that's just a problem he always does this, and he still does this. He keeps kind of trying to cast a bigger shadow. I hate when people do this, honestly. Power is something that a lot of persons covet, right? And if you have information or have something that people don't have, or people want to know, or people want, it kind of gives you some sort of power. And you will see some parallels in the whole Tati and James Charles situation, because it's the same type of thing. Oh, he has these videos, he has these testimonies, and he keeps denying it's a testimony, but it really is a testimony. He has this proof that James Charles is a predator, and it's the same thing back then. Overall, I just think that, Jeffree just needs to own up and say, hey, I messed up. It's just that simple. Like, he should have reported it. If he had information, instead of posting it on Twitter, he needed to go to either the police or go to somewhere and say, hey, this is what's going on, report it. Not tweet about it, retract your tweet, then act as though nothing ever happened, and now it turns out that something probably did happen with this Blood and a Dance program, or whatever they call, a group or a band or whatever they call. I don't know rock and roll. He just simply needed to do the right thing. He didn't. He's supposed to own up to it. And I think what he's just doing now is simply deflecting. He's just running from the fact that he didn't do what he's supposed to do, and instead of owning up to it, he's just deflecting. Switching over to the James Charles, Tati Westbrook, and Jeffree Star situation, here's my take on this. Tati Westbrook was simply salty. He didn't promote her stuff, so she got super emotional, felt super hurt, didn't think about it, and made a 40-minute long video and posted it. Didn't expect things to be as big as they are, but guess what? That's what happened when you're an asshole. She took all those things that she felt was borderline inappropriate and shared it with the world. I think all of us in our private circles would do things that, publicly speaking, wouldn't be very nice, but we do it with our friends because that's our close circle, right? Or we say stuff or whatever the case, but it's all jokingly and it's all in good fun because guess what? It's within the circle of 2, 3 persons. Jeffree Star as well got wind of what was going on, and he decided to go as well, jump on the bandwagon, jump in a situation that didn't involve him, and started posting stuff as well. And I think that the interview with Keemstar, Mother's Basement or whatever it's called, I think they were right. It did look and it did seem as though it was Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson against him because they both started to heavily support Tati Westbrook while this whole thing was happening with James Charles. So of course it's going to seem as though it was the two of them ganging up on James Charles. And I said this in my last video about this whole situation. Jeffree Star never said sorry to James Charles. He apologized for the way things happen. He didn't apologize for anything he called James Charles. He didn't apologize for what he did. He pretty much apologized for the result of his actions. If you watch the video again that Jeffree Star put out, he never apologized for what he did. He apologized for what happened. He apologized to James Charles' brother directly. He said, I'm sorry to his brother that I said what I said. He apologized for that, but he never apologized to James Charles. I don't really want to talk about this much because again, it's a situation that happened and it's being regurgitated by Jeffree Star. I think it's kind of childish, to be honest with you, and he doesn't want to own up to doing the things that he did and that they were simply wrong. If it was a case of him really genuinely being sorry for what happened, he would not have even continued the conversation about what happened with Tati Westbrook and James Charles. He would have been a bit more apologetic and sympathetic towards the whole situation and acknowledging that he had a part to play in this whole nasty thing. If you have a friend, right, a alleged close friend, right, if you're hearing certain things about them, wouldn't you ask them about it and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing, let me hear your side of the story? And as I said in my previous video, this whole thing was about communication. Like, this whole situation could have been avoided if Tati Westbrook, instead of posting her stupid video, had talked with James Charles. If Jeffree had confronted James Charles and asked about the situation, it would not have gone this far again. Communication is very important, and he said in the interview that he has these clips. If James Charles is listening and wants to reach out to him, feel free to reach out so that they can talk about this and he can show him the clips. He's now doing this. After everything happened, he is now telling James Charles to contact him so he can show him the clips after posting it on social media. Like, that makes no sense, right? Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to say on this matter. If you made it to the end of the video, comment this emoji under it and let's see who has made it to the end of my video. I don't think people actually watch the entire video. I think I'm like the only person who watches a video from starting to end on YouTube. I don't know. Probably it's only me. But if you made it to the end of the video, you know what to comment. Like the video if you did, comment your thoughts below as well. Subscribe, click that red big subscribe button and subscribe to my channel for more and weekly videos. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching and enjoy the rest of whenever you're watching.